behind the desk. Noticeably absent was a chair behind the desk. The desktop was polished, showroom ready. It was void of any signs of having ever been used. It had no frayed edges. There were no stacks of papers, no container of pens, no pictures of loved ones. Caleb shifted uncomfortably in the low sitting chair. Although he'd spoken with Father on a semi-regular basis throughout the years, he hadn't actually seen the man in over 10 years. A sinking feeling mired in his gut, as if he'd been summoned to the principal's office. 30 minutes after the time he'd been told to be there, the flat screen came to life. A computer-generated image of a human head appeared on the screen. It reminded Caleb of the old television series, Max Headroom. He looked curiously at the image, wondering, what gives? Oddly, the image seemed to glare back at him. After a moment, it spoke. Did you get the information on Sarah Leeson? The voice was stilted, computer-enhanced. But there was no mistaking who it belonged to. It was Father. Why this setup, Father? Caleb asked. I haven't seen you in a while. I was hoping. Father cut him off. Did you get the information I requested? No, the file has been firewalled. I can't get in. Is that standard procedure? Caleb bit his lower lip and slowly shook his head. I don't know. I don't normally backdoor my way into cases I'm not directly involved in. But if a firewall's there now, it means they suspect a breach. Can they trace it back to you? I don't know. The computer head flickered across the screen. Is there any other way to find out if the feds have Sarah Leeson? Not outside of personally asking one of the agents involved with the case. What do the feds know about Father's disciples? Caleb stared hard at the screen. The old man apparently wanted a summary of the information he'd already provided. The Leeson woman's disappearance was obviously very troubling. He wondered what she knew. Well, he began slowly. According to the file, at least from the last time I've been able to access it, the information they have at this point is very sketchy. They suspect Father's disciples as a high-powered crime syndicate operating up and down the eastern seaboard. They believe the syndicate is headed by Mayo Fathers and is being run out of Father's house and Father's funeral home. They also think McCain and Bledsoe are part of the power structure. They suspect some type of link between the syndicate and Raleigh City Hall, including the mayor, the police department, and the district attorney's office. They suspect that children as young as 7 and 8 years old are being recruited into the syndicate through Father's house. Other than the suspected head of the syndicate, and a few believed to be members, it's not known how the syndicate is organized or exactly how many members it has. There were 5 potential witnesses. 2 were convicted felons, Billy Daniels and Nathan Smith. Separately and unknown to the other, each had contacted the Bureau through their attorneys. It was through them that it was first learned of a possible link between the Doralé police and Father's disciples. Both convicts were cooperating and were trying to negotiate lighter sentences when each was killed in separate prison incidents, seemingly unrelated to Father's disciples, but highly suspicious nevertheless. The other 3 witnesses lived in Doralee. Cindy Storrs approached the Bureau. Both Calvin Leeson and Kane Simmons were identified by an undercover agent. All 3 were killed in separate incidents seemingly unrelated to Father's disciples. Storrs was killed in a domestic dispute by her husband. But a jury recently deadlocked on that theory. She claimed to be an accountant for the syndicate and that she had records of how its money was laundered. She claimed to have knowledge of all the public officials on the syndicate's payroll, including high-ranking officials in City Hall and the district attorney's office. She also claimed to have an outline of the syndicate's organizational chart. She was killed before she could deliver on the promised goods. Should I rehash Leeson and Simmons? No, Father said. Caleb leaned back in his chair. Well, that's it then. At least the part of it that was in the file through last week. I don't know when the firewall was set up. I hadn't tried to access the file again until after you called me Wednesday night. And of course, I was never able to find out the identity of the undercover agent who I suspect had approached both Leeson and Simmons. Father said, "We've learned the identity of the undercover agent." "How?" "Torture. We had him in our custody. We thought he was an outsider trying to encroach on my territory. He confessed his true identity just before he died." "Who was he?" Caleb asked. "His undercover name was Nace Robinson, but actually he was Special Agent Anthony Burns." "You know him?" "Yeah," Caleb said. "He was a good guy." He paused. "If the Bureau learns of his death, they're not going to stop until Father's disciples is wiped off the face of the earth." Father laughed. His computer voice sounded packaged and unnatural. "If the feds want Father's disciples, they can have Father's disciples." Caleb had no idea what he meant, and at the moment, quite frankly, didn't care. He felt glued to the low chair, unable to move. The television screen with Father's computer head still visible seemed 1,000 miles above his head. Tony Burns had been a friend, and Caleb, through both his actions and inactions, had contributed to Tony's death. He'd always understood that his choices affected others, albeit indirectly. But Tony, that was a direct hit.